It is that time of the year, guys. It is mock draft season. Now, for the first few years that I was doing this channel, I kept the tradition alive of doing basically weekly mock drafts during the regular season of the NFL season. More or less, you guys told me to shove off with that, so I have refrained this season. And now we're going to get into some of my own mock drafts when I get around to it a little bit. Right now, I am on day 12 of what will be a 19 or 21 day work week, depending on what happens at work. So if you want to help me get there, guys, there's a link to my Patreon to be had in the description below. But if you go over there, make sure to only join for $1 because that is my goal. If I could get 2,000 $1 patrons, I would be free from the daily grind. I would make that leap and see if I could get there. But we are here with someone else's mock draft, a 3-round mock draft, but 3-round mock drafts this season contain 4 draft picks because the Kansas City Chiefs have an extra third from the L'Jarius Sneed trade. This article is titled Chiefs 3-Round 2025 NFL Draft, according to PFF Mock Draft Simulator from Clutch Points by Lorenzo J. Reyna. Now, I believe what he's saying here is that he just ran the simulator and let the simulator choose the players for him. So this is an interesting strategy, and it gives us a couple of good picks, even if they're not exciting, and then a couple of picks that I don't think I would go in that direction. Round 1, pick 31, edge Nic Scourton, out of Texas A&M. The article says there's another Chief star who's not getting any younger, Chris Jones. Nic Scourton's selection comes off as the groomed replacement for Jones down the road. I would disagree. I would say that this is more a Charles Omenihu replacement, but we will get to that in a moment. Scourton is 2 inches shorter at 6'4" compared to Jones, but he carries 280 pounds with ease in the trenches. He's equipped with long arms that give offensive linemen fits. The Texas A&M star defeated blockers with an aggressive rip move. He's even attacked blockers with a nasty spin move that includes knocking down the lineman's hands. We have him here, 6'4", 285 pounds, projected to run a 4.70 40 by NFL Draft Buzz. Nic Scourton is probably in that 25 to 35 range in the NFL Draft. Not an exciting pick. I do not think the Kansas City Chiefs will reach on a left tackle if one is not there. It is unlikely that one will be there at 31, so should the Chiefs not trade up, it is likely that they will end up going with a pick that would seem redundant, but we saw in the Super Bowl exactly what an incredibly strong defensive line can do to an offense, even if that offense includes the greatest player to ever throw the pigskin. Scourton would not be an exciting pick, but he might be the pick that ends up rebounding the defense. So if you, I think that he is a good enough talent that he could make strides for the defense, making up for the loss of Nick Bolton, should the Chiefs lose Nick Bolton. I think that this is a player that would keep your linebackers clean. I think Leo Chanel is going to break out this season, and having a player like Nic Scourton, I can never say his name, playing in front of him is something that could facilitate the linebackers in general. You're going to have one more linebacker come on board if Nick Bolton does leave, because you're losing Jack Cochran as well. And I talked this morning in a video, I think we might be cutting a couple of the backup linebackers as well. They will, Cam Jones, Sean Bradley, losing them will save the Chiefs $2.2 million towards that salary cap, which they're likely to have a couple of UDFA linebackers on the roster anyway. So why not do that? Not an exciting pick, but again, could be picks like this are how teams stay strong. You could reach for a tackle here and hope that you get one that works out, but if you don't, then you have nothing, right? You have nothing from that pick if it is not a tackle that works out. So taking a player like Scourton, who has a very high floor, is one of the ways that you just kind of perpetuate being good at football. In the round 2, pick 63 defensive tackle Alfred Collins out of Texas, another defensive lineman. Oh no, how very, very unexciting. How do you think the Eagles just won the Super Bowl with a very strong offensive line and a very strong defensive line? Again, I do not know what the rest of the draft looked like, but if there was not an offensive tackle available that made sense at the pick, I'm glad the Chiefs would not stretch and make that pick. That said, another big, rotund Texas defensive tackle does give me pause. The article says, Veach stays in the Southeastern Conference and the Lone Star State with this next selection. Alfred Collins is an even more massive inside option. He stands 6'5", 320 pounds, and brings his own set of long arms. His feet, though, are a strong trait on the field. Collins is quick and disciplined enough to fill a gap and redirect the running play. He can stack blocks and take on double teams, which frees up linebackers. Collins delivered his best highlights against the ground game, winning off a swim move and a straight power off the run. He is listed at 6'5" with 320 pounds of heft, a 4.95 40. If he's 320 with a 4.95 40, he absolutely would be worth this pick and will probably go earlier in the draft. He's not a guy that I think is going to run a 3.95. If he has a 4.35 shuttle, that would be phenomenal as well. A 32-inch vertical at 320 pounds would be lights out. It says 60%. I don't think that 60th percentile is correct for a 32-inch vertical by a defensive tackle. Certainly not by a nose tackle type of player, which 6'5", 320 pounds would allow you to play nose tackle in the NFL. This could be so. This is not an exciting pick again. And it might seem like, well, I don't want the Kansas City Chiefs to go defensive line. I will sell it this way. I would kind of be elated if these were the first 2 picks, not because I particularly like either of these players, but because I think both of these players are definitively starters in the NFL, and then all of a sudden your defensive line looks like this. George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, then you have Alfred Collins, then you have Nic Scourton. Nic Scourton. That defensive line is big and powerful. That defensive line is active. That defensive line can absolutely make a mockery of many of the offenses in the league. So, while these 2 picks are not sexy on their own, what they do is they make the defense as an entire unit that much better that fast. Day 1, Alfred Collins is the second best defensive tackle on the team. Day 1, Nic Scourton is the second best defensive end on the team, and he might give George Karlaftis a run for his money. We will have to see some of the testing for Nic Scourton. I think Nic's hands are better than George's, but again, we're judging that based on George Karlaftis in the NFL, Nic at the college level. Then, get ready for it. 3rd round, pick 66, tackle Jonah Savalinaea out of Arizona. The Chiefs finally get Mahomes' future pass protection here, although they end up working a trade with the Tennessee Titans to nab Jonah. Okay, so he didn't know that this is from the he did not know that this was from the L'Jarius Sneed trade. The Eagles' pass rush showed they were one step ahead of the Chiefs' front 5. The foot explosions from Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, plus Josh Sweat, and the rest of the rotation caused discomfort for KC's trenches and Mahomes. Was this written with AI? Savalinaea brings one of the quickest initial bursts in this draft. He explodes out of his own stance to take on rushers. The 6'5", 330-pound offensive lineman then fires off his hands powerfully to knock defenders back, disrupting their pass rush pursuit. This was written with AI. So I went through and I looked at the picks themselves. I did not read the reasoning. And then I collected these from NFL Draft Buzz. This article was written with AI. You can't convince me otherwise. Anyway, I cannot say his name unless I'm reading it. Jonah Savalinaea, I think that's right, actually, guys. I think I got that right. Is 6'5", 336 pounds, 10 1/4 inch hands, 34 5/8 inch arms, a wingspan of 81 6/8 inches, 6/8 inches, a 5.20 40-yard dash. Again, these are all projections because we don't have the official numbers yet. I don't know that Savalinaea is anything other than a right tackle. Are the Kansas City Chiefs really so desperate that they want to keep collecting right tackles? Maybe. Or maybe you just say you have all the right tackles you need and one of them has to play left tackle, so you leave it at that. Now, he's an interesting prospect. Is it possible that there's a left tackle in there? It's possible. It's very possible. It's a possibility that you have 3 left tackles on your roster right now. So, do you want to go with another possible? I don't know. In the 3rd round, maybe it's a little bit more worth the risk. In the 3rd round, maybe it's something that you can really sort of write off as, hey, we have to throw the dart. I just don't know what you get out of it because I don't think that he is appreciably better than any of the tackles you have on your roster. He would seem to be best case scenario right in that same framework. So I wouldn't be against the pick necessarily. I would just kind of be upset that there was not. Look, if this draft goes defensive line, offensive line, defensive line, offensive line, defensive line, I'm not mad. Honestly, I'm not mad. I don't care. The Kansas City Chiefs will figure everything else out. If they get the 2 lines figured out, then I think that they are a Super Bowl contender. And then we have something that turned me a little bit sour. From Scourton to sour. Round 3, pick 95, running back Devin Neal out of Kansas. Now, don't get upset. I'm not sour on this because of Kansas. I'm not sour on this because I don't think Devin Neal is an NFL player. I think he is. A local college star ends day 2 of the NFL draft for Veach and KC. Reed becomes the one who helps facilitate this selection. The 3-time Super Bowl winning head coach has thrived with backs who catch out of the backfield. Devin Neal is among the best in the nation in that skill set. He produced back-to-back 1,200-yard seasons in nearby Lawrence, too. Veach has a big decision to make with Isaiah Pacheco. The 2-time Super Bowl champ is officially up for an extension. He's got 1 year left on his rookie deal, but he's coming off an injury-riddled 2024 and got held to 310 rushing yards. Kansas City struggled to run the rock too, ranking 22nd in rushing yardage. He's not wrong about Isaiah Pacheco. I don't think Isaiah Pacheco gets a second contract in Kansas City. Just don't. He did look better this season prior to the injury, but again, there was the injury. Now, Devin Neal goes 5'11", 215, projected to have a 4.50 40, 30-yard arm length. Not too many of these numbers. Basically, when you're looking at a running back, what's his 40? What does he bench press? What's his weight? The hands, the arms, the wingspan, I don't really care about any of it. Devin Neal will remind you a little bit of he will remind you of Kareem Hunt's rookie year. He will remind you of Kareem Hunt's second season. He's not Kareem Hunt, I don't think. Is he an NFL running back? Yeah, I think he's an NFL running back for sure. I don't think I take him in the top 100. In fact, I know I don't take him in the top 100. I don't think he will be taken in the top 100. I think that he is a running back without a clear and decisive physical advantage. Does that make sense? When you're looking at running backs in the top 100, they have to have something special about them. Are they super fast? Are they super big? Are they Ashton Genty, who just moves like Gumby, right? Is there one of these things about them? I don't see it there with Devin Neal. I think Devin Neal could be a 1,000-yard back in the NFL. You can get 1,000-yard backs in the NFL in the 6th and 7th round. I think that Devin Neal is likely a 5th-round type player, and that is simply because of the strength of position, right? Positional value of running backs. I think that's just it, guys. I think that there are players in this draft at the running back position who will be second-rounders that if you were to go back to the early 2000s, they'd be top 10 picks, right? So Judkins, I think, is one of those guys. I don't think he goes in the first round. Quinshon Judkins, I don't think he goes in the first round. So anyway, guys, that's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. We're coming up on 2 consecutive years of daily uploads, and as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.